Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning. What a beautiful day we have here in Chautauqua County. It's not even that frosty. It's in the low 40s. And I hope that everybody's having a great time with the beautiful fall. The leaves are finally, the trees are undressing now. So it's beginning to look like winter. But at any rate, it's a wonderful place to live, even in the fall. And I'll tell you, the trees are just overburdened. They're hanging low with apples and pears and nuts. And oh my gosh, the harvest this year, incredible. Of course, they tell me that's nature's way of taking care of the wildlife. It's going to be a rough winter. They got to have plenty of food. All right, I don't believe that. Somebody sent me a joke. I'll read you this one. This is kind of, this is apropos. A 70-year-old man went to the doctor for his checkup, and after checks and tests and the whole schmear, he comes back and he tells the guy, the 70-year-old, he says, look, friend, I've got some bad news or worse news. And he says, oh my God, give me the worst news. He said, you've got cancer. You'll live another 6 months at best. He says, oh God, what's the bad news? He says, well, you have Alzheimer's. He said, thank God, I thought you were going to say I had cancer. Enough of that silliness, isn't it? All right, guys. I look at the television, it's all craziness. Washington is virtually moribund. They're trying to kill, as usual, the Obamacare, which they've tried, 44 times? I got Fred Croscut here. He's going to help us out today. And they still haven't managed to dump it. And for 50 years, we've been trying to get rid of the insurance plan where you pay insurance companies almost 30% of all the health care costs to meter out a certain amount of, a meager amount of health care to you. This is absurd. But at any rate, the new Obamacare plan stops that nonsense, says, look, you guys can't do this. You can't drop people when they get sick. You got to let them on, give them their insurance, even though they do have some illnesses at the time. And this, that, and the other thing. So what are the insurance companies? They're spending billions, I'm sure. Every time somebody comes on and says, you know, Obamacare is bad, I want to look in their back pocket and see how much green is back there, you know. I think everybody's being paid off all around to smear it. In the meantime, they haven't really done much. But so what? They got a new slant now. I see yesterday, they started dropping people. They said, well, we won't give you health care anymore. You go and get your insurance. Well, you can go to Obamacare and get your insurance there. As soon as they fix the damage somebody has done, I know, to the Obamacare site, which is, it's coming back now, but I have a sneaking suspicion they stuck a virus in there that'll never die. Somebody in China, you know, they pay everybody. All right, guys. At any rate, that's the state of health care right now. Looks like you're going to get it finally, and at a reasonable price, because the insurance plans that the Obamacare has accepted for you have agreed to very small profit compared to the current operations that have been going on for several generations now. Locally, we've got Fred here. He's the last one to warn us. We're going to have we could easily have a 20% increase in our taxes, one way or another. There's ways they finagle. I'll ask him about that. And we have, of course, according to Forbes and a number of other operations, we are the highest. Mike Sullivan pointed this out. Sadly, he lost, but the highest taxes in the United States, not in just northern New York or in New York. So our taxes here are enough to curl your hair, and it looks like we're going to have another tax hike if that's possible. If there's going to be anybody left in the county to pay the taxes. All right. Locally, it's archery season. You hear the archery, you hear the guns going off, the bows and arrows going off. Whoosh, whoosh. It'll be a regular season next week, right, Fred? I think it opens up.
Yeah, shotgun opens next Saturday, a week from today.
Next Saturday, yeah. And that's when I think they've issued more doe licenses than ever in the history of hunting, because it's the insurance companies. They're the ones who issue doe licenses. they put the heat on anyway. Say, look, there's too many deer, and it's costing us too much money with auto accidents. So they put the heat on, and they expand the deer season. And of course, with less and less kids today hunting, it's a real problem. You know, kids aren't hunting anymore. They're hunting on their TV, on their consoles, their play games, and so forth. And they don't even go outside anymore. I've got one of my nieces walks around carrying her computer with her so she can play whenever she sits down. And I think it's a bane of today's young society, is the fact that they're basically glued to a computer playing games now. That's like, I don't know, something's wrong with that. Get out and dance and jump around and play like you used to outside. At any rate, it's hard to find new hunters, and it looks like the deer hunting seasons are going to get bigger and bigger and longer and more because you're not bagging the deer they used to bag. Archery season's on though, and they sent some kids out with their parents. You know that you can take your kid out if they're 14 under certain circumstances with the parent or the whoever's in charge of the kid, and hopefully it breaks a few kids in anyway. All right, enough said. On the national front, nothing but aggravation, so we won't even talk much more about that. But we do have one shining light in Chautauqua County, and that is all our senior clubs. They are countywide, they're townwide, they're church clubs, they're village clubs, they're all kinds of clubs. And if you're not a member of one and you're a senior, join one quick. It's a great place to be. Everybody's of your own age. You remember the same songs. you know each other from way back, and on top of all that wonderful thing, you have a huge support group. They call each other regularly. There's even a program where you call every day during bad weather to make sure everybody's okay, and it's terrific. Now the Brockton Portland seniors have a very active group, and they meet regularly. Margaret Jagoda is the president over there, and if you want to get involved, check with her. I just wanted to mention the fact that they had huge, wonderful Halloween programs, all these guys do, and Thanksgiving coming up. Most of them have a Thanksgiving dinner, so check with your senior center. Find out when Thanksgiving dinner is and tell them you want to join. I want to say that they're going to have over at the Brockton Portland seniors, they're going to have a terrific dinner coming up. They have great dinners. They have punch with wonderful things, cider, and sometimes other things slip in. They have Chiavetti's chicken, scalloped potatoes, pasta, tossed salad, everything well, and that's with Julia's orange cupcakes to celebrate the past Halloween. They had a contest on their costumes, and Marilyn Monroe won. It was Pat Zangy who was Marilyn Monroe. I wanted to mention the fact that the Congregational Church where they meet over there sometimes is very, very handicap friendly now. You know, people are putting the ramps in and making sure that there's no obstacles, so someone who is in a wheelchair can scramble along and get in without any hassle. I want to say happy anniversary for Rick and Kate. It doesn't mention their last names, but 32 years for Bob and Margaret, and 27 years for Marion Del Camp. Yeah, I see a Del Camp just won the election over in Portland. He's now the highway director, or what is it, Portland, Brockton, whatever. Yeah, that's great. We always need a new highway director. Incidentally, they got a judge over there, Del Camps, too. The Del Camp crowd is pretty busy. And nobody ever runs against him. All right, they had a wonderful gathering at the Colony House a couple days ago in Irving for their annual installation luncheon. I just want to say Carm Tampio is the president, and Carm Tampio has been president. The same guys do the same job all the time. First vice is Mary Congdon, and second vice is Josie Crino, and treasurer is Melanie Bates, secretary is Sue Borowski. These are people who work for nothing and do a lot of work. They keep your gang afloat, you know. I'll put the cheaters on here because the print is kind of small. Secretary Sue Borowski, treasurer Melanie Bates, let's see, Jeanette, financial secretary, I don't know what the difference treasurer and financial secretary is, but anyway, Jeanette Mula and chaplains Carmela Morabito. They all serve 1-year terms. It should be 2 years. Why do they have to run every year? Thank you, Gene Suski, for wonderful decorations. Next meeting will be November the 20th. And membership is open to all, it says. I would hope so. Silver Creek seniors. Ed Newman does a job over in Silver Creek, and I don't know, so is his wife. They're very active. And I wanted to say the Grape Belt senior crowd is very, very active too. They met for the next potluck luncheon, and that'll be held, and they're meeting November 20th. Stop around for the Grape Belters. Grape Belters are a crowd over in, they meet at the Mason Hall over in, I think it's a Mason Hall over in Fredonia. And they have exercise classes regularly, and they monitor their town meetings, which is the town of Pomfret. And, Karen Marcus organized all the coupons that are donated regularly. They get coupons, they send them overseas, so that the servicemen and women may use them at their local PX. Yeah, they accept coupons at the PX. All right, so that's a great idea. They have a knitting group over there, too. And Sheridan Happy Seniors. And they tell me they really are happy over in Sheridan. I don't know what they're smoking, but it's great. Shirley Sikorsky does the prayer, and the president is Ellen Suttle, and she monitors this company and makes it work well. I wanted to say hello to the Forestville Pioneer Club, Social Club. They're way up in the hills there. Beautiful area. Oh, it's lovely up in Forestville. And I wanted to say happy birthday over in Forestville to Carol DePiro, Merrill, Jane Penharlow, and Nancy Wilson. Not less. Sunshine Gal sent a sympathy card to Donna Nobles. Get well, Donna. And everybody else is very happy over there. New officers are President Ruth Kuhn, Vice President Carol DePiro, Secretary Peg Hayden, and treasurers Marlene Bradigan and Angie Logan. Takes 2 people to handle the treasury over there. Maybe they're rich, I don't know. Christmas party, December 17th at Tom's Family Restaurant in Irving at 1 p.m. Get over there. You must have attended 4 meetings in the last year to qualify for the club to pay for half your dinner. Yeah, you can't just say, I'm a member now, pay for half. 4 meetings. Next meeting is December the 2nd, I might add, over there. And I should repeat it again. It's a Forestville Club, which is quite a bunch over there. Very high up, too, I might add, in the altitude. Lakeshore Seniors, a quick note here. Stella Mikulak is the president, still does the job. Irene Christopher, who has been there forever and has been a very active person, and she's particularly active in assistance and information about breast cancer. If you want to know about breast cancer, she knows everything. Irene Christopher. Next meeting is November 13th, where Carol Kolowski and Korzynskielski will do the job. Hi, Jenny Kubera, new member. That's the lifeblood of your organization. The nominations for the officers will be at the Christmas party, December 11th. Meeting to be adjourned. Motion was made by Kubera, and they played bingo. Of course, all the groups play bingo. All right. I've been told that even though I do have a little bit more news, and I don't care, I got to get this in. Hello, Kathy Freeman. She gave me some of her apples. She's got a little apple orchard, 3 trees on the corner of Spring Street, and she every year lets people come and take her apples. It's fantastic. They're wonderful apples, I might add. And Boo, here's another one for the Wall of Shame. SNAP, which is a senior nutrition program, assistance program, which helps out with seniors who are more and more suffering from lack of money to buy their food because they have to spend it on pills and things like that. And Social Security is being cut right and left. What they've done is they have a sneaky way of doing it. According to Forbes and everybody else, we're in right now a huge inflation, probably 4.5% to 5%. Well, I noticed my new inflation beater, the COLA for Social Security, is again 1.5%. And a 4 or 5% inflation rate, again, seniors, we will lose more money. And right now you're getting 47 cents on what you got 10 years ago when you got $1. You're getting half right now for your money. And because of the lack of the COLA, the Congress is cheating on your COLA. All right. The seniors who have served our country and workforce are especially frustrated in this cut in the SNAP Senior Nutrition Program. And they're not people looking for a handout. They put in their time. They contributed. They built our county. They built everything in this country. And here they are, having paid taxes all their lives, some of them for almost a century, for God's sake, like you, Fred. They're just being thrown under the bus. And this is becoming a mainstream problem in America. They're cutting more and more and more of the basic rights and basic supplements to the people who worked all their lives. And they're not asking for a handout. They expect what they should have gotten anyway, they were promised. Boo, SNAP. Snap, your snapper. All right, they're telling me, get off the air, you jerk. Your time is all up, and here you are using other people's time. So we'll have John Hamels on in a minute. Meantime, here's a public service announcement just for you. When I return.
Oh, hey, bud. Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
With Gary and Todd?
Yeah.
I've been meaning to ask you, is there any drinking going on in this crowd?
No.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't. I'd do anything to keep you safe.
Okay, I will.
I hope this is working.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Yeah, there you go. We got enough lushes without the kids. John Hamels shoots from the hip. He's back from a long, long trip. He couldn't call us because he was in Canada and they charged too much for a call up there. Here you go. You're on, John.
Thanks, Reed. Well, I see nothing's changed in the last 2 weeks since I've been gone. I was up in Canada and for a Rotary function, and then I was out with my family to Texas and so forth and see my son Scott. I want to, first of all, thank all the veterans out there. Veterans Day is coming up this Monday, I believe. And, you don't think too much about veterans till it's really close to home. I mean, my dad and my father-in-law were veterans, but my son is a veteran as well. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but we found out not too long ago, unbeknownst to us, that Scott got a Purple Heart. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
He was afraid to tell his mother. He could take on the Iraqis and Afghanistanis and so forth, but he wouldn't tell his mother. He had to have his wife tell her.
Yeah, well, my brother got one. He was playing, he was injured when he was out on a ship, and he was playing volleyball, and he fell and cracked his knee.
Well, this was not that.
Well, you get injuries. If you're injured, you get a Purple Heart, you know?
Well, he was grazed. Okay, well, anyways, thank you for your service, everyone.
Yeah.
Just a couple things to share with people. You ever been to a hoolie?
A what?
A hoolie.
Howley?
Hoolie.
Hoolie?
Yeah.
Who hoolie?
Tonight at Brazil's on Main in Westfield, we're going to have the first Irish Hoolie. It's a party, it's a get-together, it's a jam session, if you will. Bill and I have been asked to play
What
there.
time? What time?
8:30 to 10:30. So
That's
that'd
in
be
Westfield, right on Main
November
Street, on
9th,
the corner
tonight.
there, right on the corner. just
Yeah.
about.
So, anyways, Bill Brazil is quite a great guy, and he wants to be sponsoring more Irish music. So we're going to be kicking off the very first Hoolie.
Sounds like fun. I'll
Sounds
be
like
there.
be
What
there.
time again?
8:30.
So you drop around 8:30 on Main Street
You have
in
to,
Brazil?
I would call for reservations. I hear it's filling up fast.
Okay,
Seriously.
I will call.
All right. Also, just by way of information, if you're interested in genealogy, Lutheran Social Services, LSS, is having a program this coming Thursday, November 14th at 7 o'clock in the chapel, and yours truly will be doing a presentation called Genealogy 101. I don't know how people find me. Maybe it's through the television. I don't ever remember talking about genealogy, but anyways, I'm going to
You
be doing...
could talk about anything, man.
I guess
Somebody
so.
could ask you about the in Zambique, the ant problem, and you'll know all about it.
The ants are
Yeah.
definitely indigenous to that area. I don't know. Okay, just quick for you folks out there in TV land, November 16th. This guy over here, he's going to be taking a break for 2 weeks, just like I did. And we're going to have Chuck Brininger, president of the Jamestown Coin Club. I don't think we've ever had anybody here from the Coin Club. Is going to be speaking. It's a very interesting
That
topic.
makes him a numinologist.
That too. And November 23rd, I'm going to have Jim Fisher here. I'll be hosting both those shows. Jim's with the Parkinson's support group, and I know that's becoming a big issue here in America. Reed, when I was on my trip, as you know, I always try to come back with a little bit of flavor of America. And I got to tell you something, I'm really concerned. I'm concerned that, when we had 911, everybody pulled together. Nobody's going to take us on. We're all Americans. We shoulder to shoulder to shoulder. And in all those years, we kind of stuck it out. We got through all this stuff. And now, when I'm crossing America, I hear people saying, they referred to New York State as the communist state because of gun control. I saw down in Texas, there was a guy dressed up like a cowboy at a flea market, and he was signing up people to do a petition to secede from the Union.
In Texas?
In Texas.
No.
I see people where they're, these single issue items where it's fracturing our country. Things like immigration, gay rights, gun control, Obamacare that you mentioned earlier. I mean, come on, guys. What are we doing here? I mean, it's like we are fighting constantly with ourselves. We saw the Congress doing this, and we really need to start looking at this, at least at the local level. So with the new legislature that's going to be in place, with the new county executive and so forth, my plea to all of us is to find some common ground, find some ways that we are not necessarily fighting, agree to disagree, no problem there, but let's stop the fracturing, the bloodletting. It's becoming really lethal to our country, and I just hope that we can find some of these solutions across the country. And with that, Reed, I just want to put that 2 cents in.
Thank you.
We're fracturing.
Well, I'll tell you, that gun law in New York State is just outrageous. And it prohibits most people from carrying, makes criminals, felons out of people all over the state who forever have been honest and forward, and doesn't do anything according to the vice president. I saw him on television say this isn't going to stop the murders, the craziness. So you got crazy people out there.
Right.
And taking guns away from sane, good people and making them felons, that's outrageous behavior, and that's what Cuomo did with his Midnight Act, the so-called, what do they call the gun law?
Safe Act.
The SAFE Act, ha, 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 meaning you can't even have a gun that's worth a hoot anymore. They're going to take everything away excepting for pellet guns. And incidentally, New York State is also known as a vampire state. If you pay your taxes here in New York, you'll understand. Fred has been with us many times, off and on, and he'll be with us forever and ever, I'm sure. I want to introduce you, Fred. This is Fred Croscut. He's a renowned legislator for many years here in Chautauqua County. He's taking a little break, but he'll be back. All right, Fred, tell me something. First of all, where do you come from?
Where do I come from?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I live in Sherman, New York. Most of you all know that, and I'm born and raised there. Lived in Chautauqua County all my life. Born and raised on a dairy farm in Chautauqua County.
Well, you were a cow farmer for many years. Very
and
successful.
which I purchased from my grandfather and my father, and we ran that until 2 years ago. And at that point, I sold my cows, and then about 18 months ago, I had an auction and sold my machinery after I'd sold my farm. And my wife and I put up a house and and a little tool shed for our business in up on Freeman Road. And so right now she's retired, and I am kind of semi-retired, but I do have a custom spray business that entails about 3 months, 4 months worth of work.
You spray?
I spray and kill weeds, and I do a tremendous volume of business around the Finney Lake, Sherman, Clymer, and Chautauqua.
Yeah, I noticed there's a sort of a new process coming on. I don't know how successful it's going to be or how safe it's going to be, but they're spraying the grapes to keep the weeds out between the rows and under the grapes.
Well, they've done that for years. They use a product called Roundup, and that's what they use. And Roundup you can buy in hardware stores. It's not a problem, and the only problem is if you're spraying around your trees and you happen to leave that nozzle run as you walk towards the house, you'll definitely have a trail that you left there. But that kills any annual weeds, so of course they spray it in the spring, it kills down, burns down, and then as they grow back they may hit it again, but that keeps the weeds down within the rows of grapes.
That's quite an interesting way of doing it. You don't have to weed the grapes anymore.
And then that's the same thing as dairy farmers do. Like this afternoon I'm going to go spray my last piece, and farmers spray on sod in the fall, so when spring comes it's totally brown, and they can go in there now with their ripper and instead of a moldboard plow, and they'll work that soil in the spring and plant their crop.
Yeah, well, you know, I used to be in charge of a golf course, the greens and the fairways and everything over at the Point Chautauqua golf course when I was a kid.
Sure.
And one of the things I learned in agronomy, which is the care of grasses, is that you, at the end of the year, you let them grow. Now, I see people out mowing their lawns even today, you know, and they shouldn't be mowing them. You should let them grow for a month so that your grass gets nice and tall and digs in and gets a good root structure.
Well, and the root structure is there for the winter.
For the winter, and then they'll come up nice and strong in the spring. And another thing they do is rake all their leaves. Leave the leaves there. They protect the grass during the winter.
Yeah.
And then when you run your mower over it, they just all shred and disappear anyway.
Kind of composting.
Yeah, exactly.
Or else they blow in your neighbor's yard, one or the other.
Well, your neighbor, I've got a tree that doesn't shed until December, the middle of December.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it doesn't matter how many leaves I rake up, I still have a bunch of leaves in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're out there. You've been involved in the legislature. How many years now? Quite a
16 years.
16
great years.
Never.
Yep.
And you're taking a break, I guess. I suspect you'll be back. You were required to run in someone else's district in great part, right?
Well, what happened, and that's the way it works, they reduced the legislature from 25 to 19, as most people are very aware of. And Mr. Hemline and I, who was a legislator in the next district over, which entailed part of Mina, and I had to do a primary because now, instead of being Sherman and Chautauqua, it was Sherman, Chautauqua, and Mina. And we had a primary, and Mr. Hemline worked very hard, and probably obviously harder than I did because I lacked 20 votes of winning the primary.
I know, it was a razor's edge.
Yeah, and you know...
if you'd just gone door to door on a couple of blocks, you would have won.
Well, and that's true, and one thing Mr. Hemline did, and I tell people if you're interested in this down the road, this is a lesson. He did a phone campaign the night before, and I didn't. And I've had so many people, and I feel good about losing if you can. Boy, I just didn't know. And the town of Chautauqua, unfortunately, had 10% voter turnout for the primary. And that was unfortunate. Sherman and Mina were heavier, and I think if...
Well, they had other elections going, too.
Well, this is the primary, though. The only thing on the primary was Dave Hemline and I. So, unfortunately, a lot of people didn't vote, but I'm not sour, I'm not bitter. I always have a chance in 2 years to come back.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be back.
And I've had 23 years on the school board, as many people know in Sherman, prior to my 16 years on the legislature.
Right. And you're horseback cop.
And I've got 35 years of public service in the Sheriff's Mounted Division, which I'm very proud of. So I'm still going to be involved. I'm still going to be on the County Soil and Water Board, I think, through the Farm Bureau. I'm going to be on the NRCS committee. And the one thing that I hope with this new majority we have, and you mentioned it early on, cooperation. Yes, the Republicans will have a supermajority, but I've noticed in the last, at least half my time, the last 4 years, there's been a better communications between the legislature at our county level. We have good debates, but in the end, people don't want us arguing, bickering. Yes, there is some of that, but this new supermajority and also the new county executive coming in, I think are not going to gloat over the fact they have a supermajority. Mr. Horrigan is not going to come in and start throwing directions around. Mr. Horrigan has worked before in the service. He realizes cooperation. He's worked in the Red Cross. Sure, he's got things to learn, but he's had to work with boards of directors, so I entail the legislature as that board of directors.
Yeah, well, how come the Republicans literally swamped the election?
Big deal, county home.
County
And
home.
I know you didn't bring it up tonight, but
Yeah.
that was a big
Well,
deal.
you and I
with the
have
county.
diverse opinions of
Right,
that.
but that-
In the meantime, it looks like they're right now probably selling and signing the papers.
No, I don't think that's the case, because the Vestacare people that were at the meeting, the last meeting, he was asked, would you extend this offer for another 30 days, possibly into next year? And he says, this is a business decision. Well, what does he mean by that? Well, what he meant was he has other offers on other homes. So if he doesn't get Chautauqua County's home, he'll get another home. Well, I think what will happen come the first of the year, if he doesn't buy another home, I'm certain that the county attorney and Mr. Horrigan will say, listen, what will be your offer now, January 15th? And that offer may be $1 to $2 million less. but I
16
think-
million now, right?
Well, it was 16.5 million, but the last person acquired our accounts receivable. This person didn't. So it was actually $1.5 million less. So I think it will be, pardon me, sold now.
Oh, I think it'll
Because-
be sold before
because
you
of
say
the-
Jack Robinson.
Well, it's
Since
still
there's a
got to go through.
majority all panting to sell it.
Right, but it's still got to go through the process of the legislature
Right,
approval.
right. But they'll vote, if you got all pro sellers, they'll vote to sell, Fred, between you and me. This is my sneaky suspicion.
Pardon me, but it really, truly, in my belief, will enhance the North County
I don't
adult
know.
care.
I
really believe
If
that.
only people could get in again on Medicaid, which they won't be able to.
Well,
A
they
few
will.
but not many.
They will, but they're going to have so many other things to offer. That's my point, and I think that will sell sometime in
Maybe,
the
I
near
don't
future.
know. The one thing we could do, should do, must do is open it up to limited care so that you could literally get a lot more people in on the buck. And, you know, the rehab is big too.
Yep, and that'll be
Self-rehab.
part of it when the time comes.
Okay, Fred Croscut is giving us some inside information. Now, anybody who would like to ask Fred a question, as always, the phones are open here. On Saturday morning, and this is November 9th, you can call in, day after my birthday.
Well, happy birthday
Thank
yesterday.
you, yeah. I had a big party, the kids were there and everything, it was a lot of fun.
Great,
Great.
great.
We had the traditional pizza and wings.
How old were you?
74. Can you believe it? 74 years. They say, Dad, you're going to be 3/4 of a century next year.
Yes, you will.
You're in your 75th year now.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. And as always, I tell people, like the old chestnut, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I'd taken better care of myself.
Yeah, I've heard that too. That's
Okay.
probably truth.
So here we are in the Vampire State. You were talking about Vampire County. 20% tax hike, Red.
Well,
What-
I tell you,
what-
I
what is
did. I
going
sat
on
here a year ago,
Yeah.
and I said that would be the worst case scenario, and I wanted to touch on that before we got on to something else. But that was not the case. We had a 2% tax increase, around a 2%, because
Yeah,
they-
we found some money. They had
Yeah.
lost.
Well, you never know
they
from
lost
year to
$10
year.
million or something.
Well,
right?
you never know from year to year what's coming in through your Medicare reimbursement, your Medicaid reimbursements, all your different grant funding. So as I said a year ago here, that was the worst case scenario, and it didn't come to be. So that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. How about next year, though?
Next year, we'll have to wait and see what happens, because as you know, on our plate for next year, you've still got the sewer around the lake, a big issue. The county home, big issue. The IDA, what we can do with different businesses and getting some of these industrial parks. We have most of them all full now. There's a small area, I think in Stoneman, that is yet to be sold. And then, of course, we have the Ripley. What are we going to do there? Let's hope some big outfit comes in there and wants that area. So you've also got the airport. I think you'll see the more and more interest coming in the Dunkirk Airport to be taken over by a private group.
Yeah, they want to sell the airports.
Yeah,
Dunkirk and
so-
Jamestown.
Yeah, well, and Jamestown's going to be a little tougher issue, but that's not to say we can't work on it.
Yeah, well, actually, Jamestown is paying for itself. That's a difference.
Barely, but it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had trouble with the restaurant. It's just tough to get people up there because there's not that much traffic, airport traffic or foot traffic out of the Jamestown
Yeah,
airport.
they should rent it to McDonald's.
Well, I don't know, as McDonald's has probably looked at numbers and they say it's not worth it.
No
Yeah,
money
that's
here.
probably what they're
No
saying
money
is-
here.
is not
People
being
fly
worth-
by, they don't stop and eat.
Right. So there's going to be a lot of things coming to fruition, and I liked the comment in the editorial last week with Vince Horrigan. hopping in a plane, and this is my dream in the next 4 years. So I think you'll see some cooperation, and I think you'll see some things getting done.
Well, let's hope we don't sell everything in the county. I suggested they could sell probably Route 20, but then somebody told me, no, that's state.
Well, that is state, yes.
They can't sell it.
They can't sell it.
But we do have a lot of roads up in the country you could sell.
Well, we have a few, but on the other hand, we have to keep our infrastructure up, and that costs money also.
Yeah, well, all they have to do is put a toll gate up, That's the way you do it. Collect tolls, like the good old days. You used to pay tolls every time you turned around.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the one thing I did want to bring up, and I think Randy can get a shot of this, a year ago, as I said on this show, the major snowgoer magazine came out, and there it says, "Discovered, Snowy Secret of the East." Well, in this magazine that came out this week, and most people can get it on their newsstands, we're the snowy little secret of the East.
Yeah, Chautauqua County.
And Chautauqua County is featured in there. And then this one over here.
That's your house back there.
No, it's not my house, but this one here is, of course, I'm probably getting accused of promoting Webb's. But the guy stayed at Webb's Captain's Table. And this is in the January edition of Snowgoer Magazine. Two guys came out. They spent 3 days in our county. They went towards Finney Lake Climber the first day. In the article, it relates to that. They went north to Brockton, over to South Dayton the second day. And the third day, I was fortunate enough to take them with two of my friends. We left the Gary Rodeo Grounds, and we went up into Boswell Hill, back through to Cherry Creek for lunch. So it's really great to get this kind of a national press in a national magazine, and I hope what it does, some people are going to say, well, he said that. It brings more people here to snowmobile. But I hope what it does, it brings more people here during the week, because with winter sports, you can't hardly get through maybe on a Saturday afternoon if it's a good snowmobile season.
Right, and of course the state, as usual, is doing everything possible to ruin the industry. They require these people to get a license in New York.
They do.
When they come across to buzz around a little bit.
But you can go online now, get your registration, and I believe we're one of the top 10 counties in New York State for snowmobile registration. I think it's around 3,000. So when I know a fellow stopped my house this morning, these club members are out. It's just like the senior citizens. There's so many volunteers. They're out today putting up stakes. They're working on bridges. And I know tomorrow the same thing. So we're getting ready, because you can't work on the trails during hunting season. Yeah. And if there's snow, the trails are ready to open the first day after hunting season. So they got next week to work on trails, and then hopefully we'll take the groomers, which we have one of the nicest fleet of groomers in the state. We think that we have 26, 27 different groomers in our 4 clubs. But we will be out grooming trails in hopes that we can provide the tourism.
I don't know which group it was, but I do permit them, everybody who asks to use my property. I've got a big property up in Mayville. Yep. And snowmobilers go through, and it's along the old railroad. And recently, not recently, but a few years ago, the beavers had done a lot of damage.
Oh, yeah.
The beavers up there, there's a big lake next to it. And they had cut away a big part of it, and it was covered with water, and it was a big deal. And so the organizations tried to get a permit to fix this damage. But oh no, this is a watershed property, you can't touch it, you can't do diddly squat and everything. Well, so that was a total ruination of everything. Until one day one of my neighbors said, I hear a lot of machinery going off down on your property there. I said, oh really? So the next day I went down, and there's no machinery, but they had somebody had come in and repaired the damage. Yeah. And the beavers were all trapped back in there where they belong.
Well, you can get as a property owner permits to take out beaver dams.
You can take out the beavers too.
Yeah. So if they are, ruining your cropland or doing something
I know
like
it was something that would have taken a lot of paperwork, but they would have eventually gotten the permit.
But it is
anyway.
Possible.
Yeah. So at any rate, we do have all these things out here. Rifles, you're allowed to use a rifle now.
Yes, you are.
My God, it's taken years and years and years and years. We're the only state in the world where you can't use rifles. And in the meantime, when you shoot a deer, you're sure to kill them this time, or a much better chance.
We have a phone call.
Already?
Yeah.
All right, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
I didn't realize that they're now, in fact, I didn't realize that you weren't allowed to use rifles to go deer hunting. That seems kind of...
you got to stay above Route 20, I might add.
That seems kind of ridiculous to me, but hey. I'm not a hunter, but if you're out to kill the deer, I'm sure you don't want it full of buckshot.
Well, actually, you have a pumpkin ball, they call it, a slug. Well, what is that? It's a big
It's a
chunk.
deer slug, yeah. It's not deer buckshot, no.
No, but it's the only problem is if it hits a twig, it deflects it.
Right.
Okay. Well, my question has to do with the fact that we are kind of like a snow capital, so to speak, and you know, a lot of people like to go snowmobiling and so forth. How does it affect the private property rights of people that own the property? I mean, is there, sometimes they're quite noisy and so forth. Are there laws that determine whether you are allowed to go on somebody's
Lots
property?
and lots of laws. I'll let Fred.
Well, there is not a piece of property that the snowmobiles clubs have signage on that they have not gotten written permission from the property
And
owner.
insurance, I might add.
And several years ago, through the efforts of New York State, we were able to get insurance. So that property owner has liability insurance on his property. Now, if you decide you do not want someone on your trail, you want to notify the club that represents you. The one thing you do not want to do is go out and put a piece of barbed wire across your trail.
Well, no, that would not be wise.
But you are protected with insurance. That was a major issue. We could not have the snowmobile system that we have without the property owners. I've said that on this show before. The other thing that the sheriff department, I don't know if this year they'll be able to have patrols out there, but the one thing they used to run is pipes. It's like the cars. You take off your muffler and put a pipe on. You're not allowed to do that. Why? Because just exactly what you're saying. We want to be quiet when we go through town. Matter of fact, we don't really want to go through town any more than we have to, because our livelihood and tourism dollars depends on keeping the public happy. Well, the public wants good trails, but on the other hand, the public doesn't want to be woken up at night by a snowmobile going past their bedroom window at 3 a.m. in the morning.
With a full no muffler on it.
With a full no muffler on it. The same thing with drinking and driving. Yes, there's nothing wrong with stopping and having a sociable drink, but on the other hand, when you see snowmobiles out at 1, 2 in the morning, because I'm a groomer, you want to be very cautious.
What's a groomer? You keep saying
the groomer it's a big track machine that pulls a drag behind it, and that's what takes all the bumps and moguls as you go down the trail with this groomer. And you drag this drag behind it. It has different knives that go different ways, and it smooths it. And that's why you have nice, smooth trails.
Okay.
These trails years ago, you just went from Sherman to Mayville. It may take you 2 hours. You just went through someone's woods.
And it knock your teeth out.
Yeah, but now you have these nice white trails that club members have cut and brush hogged by property owners' permission. And they have these groomers that go through. Like Sherman, the groomer I ran last year did about 23 miles. The groomer I run this year does about 23 miles of trails. Because it's like 5 miles an hour and you go very slow. So I may go from Sherman to Panama and turn around and come back. And that's what that is. But I can assure you, ma'am, state police is out there, the sheriff is out there. Snowmobilers don't want people going where they shouldn't.
Now, do the state police and sheriff's patrols have their own snowmobiles that they go out on?
The state has a DEC. That is what I've seen here in Mayville mostly, is the Department of Environmental Conservation has at least, I think, 2 snowmobiles in Parks Department. State police, snowmobiles are in Batavia. So it's going to be highly unlikely they'll come out here. The sheriff, and I haven't talked to the sheriff, our snowmobile trail funding was cut last year. Whether or not they have someone out there this year or not, I haven't talked to the sheriff. But at least call. If you have a problem, call. Call the sheriff department, complain.
Well, I live in town, and occasionally, I'm assuming they're going out to get outside of town to go on a trail or something. Occasionally, they do run across, I have a corner lot, my property to get wherever they're going, but they've never been a problem. But I was just wondering if there were rules about it being in town and stuff like that.
Well, here again, the depot, obviously, to get the quick fill, you need to go through town to get the Webb's, to get the Chautauqua Suites.
Right,
Quick fill, as you know, Mayville's a hub. I mean, you can't go anywhere in this county, across this county, snowmobiling without going through Mayville.
That's because it's the capital, right?
Yes. Yes, it is. And I'm glad for your call.
The county seat. It's
And
thrown.
yeah, and I hope I've helped you some,
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, thanks for the call. Have a great day.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Powers,
Yeah?
happy belated birthday.
Well, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
And I guess the other thing that I've been a part of, and sometimes you think if you'd have talked more about what you've done over your 18 years, but a lot of things you work behind the scenes with. And this lake group I brought up before, you know, I'm still on that and working hard towards that, and we will eventually next year, with the help of Don Emhart with the town of Chautauqua and several other people, we will have a new 501c3 set up. They will be the organization.
That means they'll be tax exempt, right?
They'll be tax exempt, but we need an organization, not the boots and shovels, but an organization to call the shots on how we're going to address the submerged aquatic vegetation study, where we may do some dredging, where we may do some spraying. And the point is, you bring all these organizations together to apply for major funding. I don't want to, this organization doesn't want to take a thing away from the Chautauqua Lake Association. They don't want to take away a thing from CLA. But the major donors are saying,
CLA?
Chautauqua Lake Association. They're the ones that are cutting the weeds, and they're always going to cut the weeds. We're always going to cut weeds, and we have another phone call.
Okay. Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. I've had a question that I've always wanted to ask somebody, and I think Mr. Croscut could be the man.
Okay.
He knows everything, believe me.
He knows everything. Mr. Croscut, you talked about the DEC and other law enforcement agencies. Can you shed some light on who the heck and what they do on these Border Patrol cars?
The Border Patrol?
Yeah, we see them up and down the lake, Lake Erie and so forth, but they disappear and nobody seems to know what they do. Can you help me out?
I see them down in Barcelona all the time.
The Border Patrol people, in my estimation, are looking for illegal people.
They're trying to capture those spies coming across the lake in Barcelona.
They do, and of course that's part of the grape farmers. They hire seasonal people. Some dairy farmers hire seasonal people. If they get a complaint, for example, this farmer may take his workers to Walmart. They may get a complaint from Walmart that, hey, we got some illegals in here. So chances are the state police may go investigate, or the local law enforcement agency. But if they're found to be illegals and they target certain areas, you don't see them here all the time, or they may be passing through the area, they will come pick those people up, and immigration will take them back, and they may deport them. They may just figure out, well, okay, they are not illegals. But that is what the Border Patrol does. From my experiences, and I know a friend of mine is a state trooper, and they'll get a call, and they'll go out and pick this individual up and turn it over to the Border Patrol. I believe they have white and green vehicles.
Yeah, there you see, as I said, you go down to Barcelona almost any time, you'll see one of them sitting down there waiting for the wetbacks who swim across from Canada.
Well, and you're right. I mean, this is Border Patrol thing came up with this new sheriff's boat we got. A couple years ago, we debated that in the Florida Legislature. I think it's housed in Dunkirk. And our sheriff department now goes out and works with the Border Patrol because of drugs or whatever may be coming in from across the pond.
25 miles.
So that's where your Border Patrol comes in. But to my knowledge, they're not based in this area. I think maybe they're based out of Batavia, Niagara Falls, Buffalo. Hope that helps you.
There you go. Is that any help at all? Apparently so.
Yeah,
if you're hung up, you must be happy.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, caller, for the question. Good question.
And then the other thing that I guess I've been really proud to be a member of and is the IDA board. And,
okay, IDA?
Yep, Industrial Development Agency. And there's been a lot of criticism on how that's
You lost all your money. Lost all the money or something.
Well, it's not really the case because any money that is dispensed by the IDA through loans is approved by the loan committee. Now, there is a lot of debate, for example, just with the pet food at the old Fairbanks facility, Alpha Foods.
Yeah.
That deal fell through basically because of a miscommunication between the realtor and the owner. Phone call again.
Okay.
But now we have water, but let's take the next
okay,
call.
well, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Caller, thank you for waiting.
I have a comment and then a question. The first thing is, I believe that you should have Dave Foley on to talk about some of these murder trials that are coming up.
He's too busy.
Maybe in the
He is
the
too
future.
busy. I tried several times to get him on the show, and I've been told not to even bother calling until after December because they're so busy.
Well, I just think it'd be good to have him on sometime to talk about these murder trials and how that goes. The question I have is, obviously in the Post-Journal and stuff, you've seen who won the big elections. How do you find out who won the small elections, the town and the legislature and stuff like that?
Very easy. You can go to the Chautauqua County website and click on Board of Elections, but I think you can go to votechautauqua.com and you go in there and you'll have a page and they'll have on that page jurisdictions, and they'll have town, village, county, and you go on and click on them, and then you can go down through, and then they also go down through the legislature districts, and if you click on towns, they'll go through all the town board members that got elected and the judges and the supervisors. So it's very simple, but I know you can get on 2 ways. One of them through the county website, and the other one is votechautauqua.com, because I was on there Tuesday night.
Yeah. Okay, there you go, caller.
Okay.
Help.
All right,
helps.
thank you very much.
Okay, I wanted to make a mention, incidentally, well, about the deer hunting. This is the bow season, archery season.
Right.
And the New York State legislature is trying to get the permission of the state to use crossbows, which means you can preload them and you can use an instrument, because these big bows now that they've got, reflex bows, they're very hard for a senior citizen to use. So he can use a crossbow, though, but it's being held up in committee. He won't let it out. Some guy named Halpin, and I helped elect him to his first election.
Well, you should call him up and discuss that with him.
I should. I should email him at least, because he's holding this up. And that's the only way your seniors are going to be able to hunt with a bow.
Yeah, and I had never thought of that, but you're probably right. I'm not an archery hunter, but I am a shotgun and rifle, and I guess the best term for me to use is, with a rifle you have much more precision, you're much more accurate, and yes, people say they go farther. Well, I suppose that may be true, but yet you hit a twig, it's still going to ricochet off.
Yeah, it affects anything. Twigs are bad news.
Yep.
Deer hunters.
Yeah.
But at least you can use a rifle, and it has a little more impact in most cases, and it is a little more accurate. And if you got a clear field, you can shoot 300 miles or something. That's a long ways.
300 miles?
Well, it's something like that, yeah.
With a rifle?
With a rifle.
I think.
But it's, you know, the funny thing, Fred, is a lot of people don't understand this. A bullet, if you were to hold it up in the air and drop it, and you were to shoot it in a straight line, they'd hit at the same time.
Yeah?
Yep. The weight of the bullet is the same, whether it's in motion forward or whether it's just dropped straight down. I think that was proved one time by some guy who leaned over the Tower of Pisa.
Okay.
Okay, at any rate, that is a fact, though. And the shotgun is very inaccurate. The rifle with a scope on it can be deadly accurate.
That was my point, yes.
Yeah, and it's very good. So at least you can get out and use those, friends. But let's get after that Halpin and tell him, you know, crossbows are basically a senior device, and it permits a senior citizen to go out and use the bow gun. Right now, they're out there. They're shooting deer, and I noticed they're getting a few deer.
Yeah, there are. There's lots of archery hunters out there now, and of course, as we talked, next Saturday's opening a shotgun season.
And that'll be, then you start hearing the nose.
Oh, 2 weeks.
No longer shotgun season now, though. It's
Can there a call?
Gun season.
Okay.
You got a call?
No.
Nope.
But anyways, back to the IDA. I think that now
Industrial Development Agency, which provides us funding for new industries coming into Chautauqua County.
Or they may be second in line behind a bank loan, maybe for equipment, and maybe for tax abatement. All these things go through the IDA. And to me, it's been a very rewarding, a very interesting experience. I've learned a lot. And but our IDA there's no way you can compare what we do here in Chautauqua County to what they may do in Cattaraugus County, because Cattaraugus County doesn't even really have a staff. We have a staff of several people. We're housed on Harrison Street in Jamestown, and I know the people that I've taken in there have came with a bank request, and there may not have been quite enough money available without going to the IDA. And I don't want you to think it's a risky business, because we got another phone call. As I stress, nothing goes through the IDA board for approval unless it goes through the loan committee, and those people are made up of bankers except myself and Mike Metzger.
Okay, you're on, caller. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Fred, I saw you a couple weeks ago, and you said you were headed down to the Energy Fair at the suites down there. Was there anything down there that you learned that you liked?
Boy, I tell you, this is one more thing, and I think it'll be 6 years, but I listened to Mary Haidu about the gas fracking, and I personally just think we're missing a boat on that. She puts things in such great perspective. And I listened to the next guy, and I can't think of his name after that, but I spent most of the afternoon there on Friday because I was interested in this. And I think when it's developed, it will be safe. I wish it could be developed sooner. And of course, you read about all these terrible things, but I think you have to look at the overall picture of the positive and negatives, and I think as Reed and I talked before, there were many mistakes made in the first gas wells drilled in Chautauqua County. They were not deep wells. Now they got different requirements. People test their water, and there's money to be out there through leasing and royalties of these deep well gas wells.
And
okay, so
ahead,
it's different than when they were drilling back in the 70s.
Oh, heavens, yes.
Yeah, and incidentally, if you buy a piece of property in Chautauqua County, one of the things to check is, do you have an old gas well on it? Because, ladies and gentlemen, guess who has to take it out? All the pipes.
Well, that may be true, but here's another point. She brings up something very, very good while I asked the question. What happens to these old leases? Well, these old leases you better check, because they're still going to be controlled by the company you leased with. And instead of you being the person that's going to lease with the new company, they're going to keep this little check coming to you for $1.92 a year or something, because they know when they go deeper, this company can't afford to do it, but they can sell to Chevron or some major gas company that will do the deep.
So you wonder why they're still giving you the lease. That's why, huh?
That ties your lease up. So that I didn't know, and that I learned that day from Mary Haidu, but she did a very, very excellent presentation.
So check your lease. Check it's called the what is it? The materials on your property that are natural.
Yeah, they got a special name
mineral
for it.
Leases.
Yeah, check your leases.
What is it?
Mineral leases.
Mineral leases.
Right, mineral rights. Right.
Yes.
There you go. So check that out. And if you have an old gas well, remember it's going to cost you $5,000 to pull the pipes out.
Well, I have a gas well myself, and right now I have to have a bond on it every year. It costs me a couple $100.
What's a bond?
It's a bond you have to purchase if you have to close that well. They want to make sure you've got a bond that'll cover the plugging of that well.
Yeah, I see.
All right.
Well,
I see your time's almost gone, so I'm going to get out of here.
Well, thank you, caller, for your call.
You're welcome. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah, you too. Get out there and dance in the sun. It's going to be a nice day today.
It is.
Okay, Fred, as he pointed out, we are kind of winding down. We've talked about a number of things. Did we ever cover anything that's important? Probably not.
Oh, I think we looked at what next year's legislature is going to do, and I feel good about it, because we have a good bunch of people coming in. I certainly want to thank the people that supported me over the years. If I don't like what I see, I can always come back in 2 years, but I've really enjoyed it. And I think you're going to see the committee structure may change, because people don't realize how many boards these legislators are asked to be on. But I can see there's a good chance, instead of having the 5 major committees, they may combine and have 3. They're always going to have an audit and control committee, but maybe administration services and human services can combine, because it is, it's a lot of time and work. And I can say that, I'm going off, but that's just how it is. People have to be dedicated. And thank you.
You're out here. they told us. Fred, you'll come back soon?
Well, whenever
now that you're not in the legislature, you can tell it like it is.
Well,
totally.
I've always tried to do that. I know you have.
Fred Croscut doing the job here for Chautauqua County. He'll be back on the board before you can say Jack Robinson. In the meantime, he may be reelected anyway with the write-in vote they're setting up. Which, incidentally, you usually get about 1% of the vote that way.
That wasn't going to work.
I want to thank a really bunch of beautiful people over here who made this program possible. Chuck Kelsey. Chuck Kelsey started this group up, the Channel 5, and is still the most successful access channel out here in Chautauqua County. And we're the only one with a live program every week, too, golly. I want to thank Devin Taylor, Chris Bird, Randy Bird. Randy is Chris Bird's big daddy. And Chris Maramaker and Jeff Zook, who does the top engineering here. John Hamels, who really helps out in a big way, comes in here and tells it like it is. In the meantime, happy Veterans Day. May you all remember the wonderful things that the veterans have done for us, and let's remember the things we can do from them. I keep seeing ads to help the veterans who have been shot. Give me a break. Government should take care of that. There should be no problem. All right, get out there. Enough of the editorialization. Have a beautiful day, beautiful Veterans Day, a nice long weekend, and may all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.
Yeah. If we can't, the guys out there will.
Yeah, somebody will call him with a good